This Saturday morning action cartoon review comes from Sega Boy 99, and thank you for the request. And by the way, dude, pretty cool avatar and username. Now, between a catalog of killer games on the Genesis and the Archie comic book series, Sonic the Hedgehog was a fixture of my childhood. At the height of Sonic Mania, there was a handful of cartoon shows. The first was the 1993 Sonic the Hedgehog, a wild and carefree show that treated the settling as a fodder for slapstick humor. Sonic and his companions Sally and Tails clashed with Robotnik, and participated in a Roadrunner-esque antics with the Robotnik henchmen Scratch and Grounder. Now I must say, this is probably one of the greatest cartoon adaptations based off of a popular video game franchise, as it fleshes out the simple characters from the Sega games. The thing that I love about this show is that it's a Saturday morning cartoon with cute cartoon animals that's based on a popular video game franchise, but it still had a great character development and a dark and gritty setting. The cartoon breaks away from the game in many ways, and mostly for the better. Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 were excellent games, and they did not provide much background for a good story. And the writers of this show were right to use the creative license. Pretty much the only similarities are the preference of Sonic and Tails and the bad guy named Robotnik. Another thing I love about this show is that most of the good guys don't come off as stock characters, but as a group of kids who had experienced a great loss in their lives because of Robotnik's actions. Sonic's character is in line with his alter ego in the games, but he also has his own surpass issues. This cartoon isn't afraid to occasionally show him crying like a baby because of his uncle's robotization. Sonic in the show is now a cunning, brave, and caring warrior, liberating his planet from the tyrant, and having the odds placed against him. Granted, Sonic himself can be a little obnoxious at times, and he can be a bit dopey, but generally he is likable and really is a good role model. Sally Acorn is also an excellent character, being a mature, caring leader with a tortured past, and despite being a nudist, she is very dignified. Granted, she could be a bit too perfect at times, which does make her a bit of a Mary Sue. Tails, sadly, is not a genius like he was in the games, but instead is a Sonic fanboy, and he has a very small role in the show, and I'm sure Tails fans will probably not enjoy this show. Sadly, Antoine is the worst aspect about this show. He is almost as bad as Jar Jar Binks, being useless and cowardly. But then again, at least Jar Jar Binks was brave at times. Antoine is just a horribly pathetic French stereotype and a womanizer towards Sally. The other characters are nice if one-dimensional. Roydor is the nerdy mechanic, Bunny is the Texan girl, Dulcie is the dumb muscle accent female, and Snivy is the generic villain lackey. A great element to this show is taken on Dr. Robotnik. Unlike the clown-like madman from the games, this bone-chilling tyrant has complete control, ruling much of the planet. He is a brilliant antagonist, surprisingly cruel and dark. While many bad guys come up with some crazy plan every episode just to get beaten down by heroes, Robotnik has a firm hold on the world he has conquered, and he does his part to keep the good guys in their place. The animation is above average for a show of this type. The backgrounds are detailed, the characters move convincingly, and the faces are expressive. The voice work is pretty well also. Sonic is voiced by the famously annoying Steve Urkel, and Dr. Eggman is voiced by the veteran Jim Cummings. The intro theme for the show is really good. This is one of my favorite 90s themes and intros of all time. The song itself was performed by Noisy Neighbors. There are two variations of the theme song. The early variation is used during the early ABC airing of the first season, and the updated variation is being used during the second season and including the DVD release on the first season's episodes. Sonic the Hedgehog, despite being a video game adaptation, is original and is one of the greatest Saturday morning cartoons out there. My childhood memories of this show are quite vague, and most of my experience of it comes from the past year. So it's not like some cartoons I like more because of nostalgia than any merit of shows themselves. Still, Sonic SatAM, which is another name for this show, despite being light years ahead of other cartoons, has its flaws. Jaleel's white voice is mostly appropriate, but sometimes annoying. Like when Sonic does his announcer voice, he also talks in annoying 90s slang. I suppose having him say words like Mondo was a mistake, an otherwise dark and serious show appealing to kids. At times it seems stained environmental posturing, but only in isolated bits of dialogue. The 90s are my favorite era of cartoons, but this problem plagued all of them. At least there was no contrived episode where Sonic learned the value teamwork. There are minor plot holes, but that doesn't detract the show. The show was unfortunately cancelled because Disney bought ABC and its parent company, and decided to fill the programming slots with its own programming, instead of shows from other production houses, though there were other reasons as well. Fox Network decided to air most of the popular shows at the time. Mighty Morphing Power Rangers directly against SatAM in the same 8:30 time slot on Saturday mornings. This severely damaged SatAM's ratings, as many kids chose to watch the inferior shows like Power Rangers, which was a pretty popular show at the time, and one show I do love. Another nail in SatAM's coffin was ABC constantly airing Saturday morning sports instead of cartoons on many of the network's infolites, which preempted many series at the time, including SatAM, and rendering it is very difficult to watch the show at all when the show is supposed to be scheduled to air. There has been talks about the show being revived, so let's just hope it happens one day. Now, even though people like me enjoyed the show, SatAM was not loved by some people, as the show was reviled by some puritanical gamers of the games themselves. But nonetheless, this is still a great show. Don't be discouraged by the fact that it was based on a video game. It's one of the few good video games to cartoons adaptations out there, and is one you need to check out. Sonic the Hedgehog, aka SatAM, gets an 8.5 out of 10. This is Red Wolf signing out, and I'll see you next time. Peace.